Hey, everybody. This week on Up Your Alley, we were talking about Jake's recommendation for me, the 2021 action game Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and my recommendation for Jake, the new documentary on Netflix, How to Rob a Bank. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some video game sales going on over on PlayStation, a quick movie review, and our recap of the third season of Shoresy. Jake, anything to add to the program?
This fidget is awesome.
Oh, yeah. We can. They should be a sponsor, but let's play the riff first. It's a good one. The Ono hand roller. I don't know what you would call it.
I don't know what it's called either.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Up Your Alley. My name is Taylor Egger, and with me, as always, is my best friend, Jake Baggett. Say hi, Jake.
Hey, buddy.
It's a show where we recommend things to each other, and then we come back the next week to talk about them and rate them on a scale of 1 to 3 based on how much it is up our individual alleys. Again, this week, we're talking about a documentary on Netflix, How to Rob a Bank. And Jake had me play the game Guardians of the Galaxy. Not based on the movies.
Nope.
Separate story, separate everything. We'll get into that as well. How you been, bud?
It's been good.
So
it's been really good.
The hand roller, I saw that it's one of those things that's like an Instagram. I forget the guy's handle on Instagram, but I follow him. It's like things Amazon finds that you need.
Yeah.
And it's just a couple quick products. And then he has links to them all because he has an Amazon affiliate link, and then he gets a cut if you buy the thing.
Oh, yeah.
And a little peek behind the curtain of the show. Jake usually has a fidget, and it has to be a quiet one, which is why I had to take the tape measure away from him just now.
We took a tape measure away. We took a camera handle away.
Yep. Little mini tripod had to go away as well. But I saw that, and I was like, oh, we couldn't find Jake's thing last week, so I was like, that'll be perfect for Jake. Got it. And how's the review on that?
This is incredible.
Yeah.
I am like going as fast as I can sometimes. And you still can't hear it.
So it's
beautiful.
It's two little rollers, and they have great action on them, great ball bearings or whatever, and you just kind of roll your hand back and forth.
2 cylinders connected together, roll them around.
They had
done.
I forget what that plastic is. That plastic is called. It's like PNC plastic or something like that.
Oh,
PCR plastic maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I've been watching a lot of 3D printing YouTube.
That's
for some
what they
reason.
use. Yeah.
Yeah.
Polycarbonate resin, I think, is the PCR.
Yeah, PCR. I think
that's what it is. But I was like, holy crap, those things are. Because
really cool
I'm not even a fidgeter in the hand. Like, I'm more of a foot tapper myself.
Yeah.
But I was messing with that. I was like, Jake's going to friggin' love this.
This is incredible.
So shout out to Ono. They're not a sponsor.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm watching 3D printer stuff. I don't own one.
Just pops up in your algorithm.
It popped up. I looked at it because the guy was like, I want to use every filament that I can get my hands on.
Ooh.
And he made something out of meat filament. Really? Yeah.
Oh, I have seen stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like 3D printed steaks like that. It's one of the things people always say, this is your future.
He always makes a little boat called Benchy so that you can compare it to all the other Benchies that he's made. So he made a meat Benchy, and he's like,
oh,
it
so
just smells.
He makes the same thing out of every filament.
Yes.
Oh, that's clever.
And he just talks about the filament and how different it is.
Yeah.
And it's so... I don't. That's just captivating.
There's a guy that popped up on my Instagram that I follow, and his whole thing is he's about halfway through 3D printing every one of the original 151 Pokemon, and he puts them all on a shelf. And there's no surprises to it because you know what the Pokemon look like. They've looked that way for 30 years now. But he's like, today we are going. He's got an accent that I can't place. But he's like, today we are going to make Vulpix. And then it just prints up a Vulpix in fast motion. And he's like, isn't that cute? And then he puts it on a shelf. I watch every single one of them. I'm captivated by the 3D printing.
Yeah. I might do it one day. I don't know.
That'd be fun to mess around with.
When I got FU money one day.
You got FU money, and then you can make a sign that says FU money, and you 3D print it, and then you can hang it up somewhere. That'd be great. I went and saw a movie, took the kid, see Inside Out 2.
Right.
It's been a while since I went and saw a kids-based movie, and Disney hasn't been great lately, and they're pushing 2 sequels this year. It's the Inside Out 2, and then Moana 2 is coming out as well.
Oh, my gosh.
It's new music by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I didn't hear about that.
Of course they're making Moana 2. The first Moana made $1 billion.
First Moana was so good.
It was amazing.
I loved it. But I don't know about a second one. What are they going to do?
More stuff on boats, dude.
That's okay.
More of The Rock, like, hanging out and
The Rock
singing
is
one
kinda
song where he doesn't really have to sing.
gone nuts. Yeah.
Did you see the trailer for Red One?
No.
So Red One.
What is Red One?
Red One's a movie that's coming out, and it's going to be in theaters briefly. And The Rock is like a Santa's guard. He's like Santa's security.
Oh, this sounds great.
And J.K. Simmons is playing Santa, and then Santa gets kidnapped, and then
Oh, this sounds like Rock's in his element now.
right, but he has to find the best, like I guess, person tracker, missing person finder in the world, and that's Chris Evans.
Yeah.
So I liked seeing Chris Evans not as Captain America.
Right.
Because he's great as a leading man. He's great as an action hero. Chris Evans is that guy. But I really liked him, original Chris Evans. Like, I first saw Chris Evans in Not Another Teen Movie.
Yeah.
And then he was great as Johnny Storm, just being like sarcastic. He's as quick and like funny, I think, as a Ryan Reynolds is, but he doesn't do that role as often.
I thought he was very funny in Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah,
That's when I was like, oh, he's hilarious.
And Knives Out as well.
He's very true. He's awesome in
good
Knives
not
Out.
being the action star. So it's fun seeing him. Well, you put anyone next to Dwayne Johnson and they're going to look like a scrawny guy.
Yeah.
And Chris Evans is a giant man, but he looks like a small man next to Dwayne Johnson.
This sounds like a fun movie.
It'll be a movie.
I'm not upset about this movie at all.
It's coming out around Christmas. And then
this is not something that you can hype up as Black Adam is going to really change around the DC universe. Everything's coming together.
That was like the worst press conference ever. But regardless, Inside Out 2 was fun. It was good.
Yeah, good.
The main character, Riley, is a teenager now.
She's going through changes.
Like David Bowie sang about. And it's really nice. More of the same. This is what's
I haven't seen the first one.
Amazing movie. Amy Poehler voices Joy, the main character, and she's just full on Amy Poehler. She's just being Leslie Knope, but I love that character.
Yeah.
They changed two of the voices. One voice that was Bill Hader is now Tony Hale. So I'm like, what was Bill Hader doing? But who cares?
Hey, Tony Hale.
This to me felt like if it had been on Disney Plus, it would have just been forgotten about. But they put it out in theaters, and it made it. I think it was number one in the box office like 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Because it's a known property. But then they just shuttle these things out like they're still putting out The Acolyte, and I haven't read anything about The Acolyte like in mainstream press.
So
on the internet,
yeah.
I mean, we're very both internet centric, and we get in our own little bubble. Like, so I'll look at YouTube and be like, all this stuff. The Acolyte's this. The Acolyte's great. The Acolyte's the worst. The Acolyte's too woke. The Acolyte's not woke enough.
I heard
Whatever.
that it's good. I heard that it's just good.
It's fine.
I heard
it's
that
really cool.
Andor's still like the tippy top.
That's
But then Acolyte is actually just a very good show.
Yeah.
Still not going to watch.
Did you ever watch the Good Place?
Yes,
the guy that plays Jason in The Good Place is in it.
Yes, I hear.
He's got a little action scene. He's fucking great. And then he just, after his, I guess spoilers for The Acolyte, but no one's watching The Acolyte. He has a lightsaber duel, and he just posted his like behind the scenes training thing on his Instagram a couple days ago after it was revealed that he's using a lightsaber in the show.
Yeah.
And he's kicking ass. He's like, it's those things where he really seemed like he was having fun. If you go back and watch, there's this great thing from the behind the scenes of episode 1 where they had to tell Ewan McGregor when he was playing Obi-Wan to stop making the lightsaber noises while he was holding his fake lightsaber, because he would be on set with microphones just kind of like, wong, wong. They're like, hey, knock it off. But he's having fun being a Jedi. And Manny Jacinto is his name. Doing the same thing. So you're like, oh, people are having fun with Star Wars. But you could ask a random person, be like, oh, The Acolyte, Star Wars. You think it's one of the biggest brands in the world? And people are like, oh, there's a new Star Wars show? And it's weird that's...
I don't know.
Where
you oversaturate the market, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know what Disney is really
just not looking at it anymore. So it's nothing.
I mean, I can name all the Star Wars shows. I think if you gave me 30 seconds to name all of the Marvel TV shows that have been on Disney Plus, I'm sure I would miss a couple.
I don't know any.
Right.
It's wild that they can't get Blade off the ground.
I think they just lost a director again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
Mahershala Ali really wants to make Blade. I think they announced that movie like in 2019.
Yeah,
something like that.
All you have to do is just make it. You don't have
Blade,
but they got to connect it to the universe. That's what's throwing them up. I swear.
That's why you watched Werewolf by Night, right?
No,
you didn't watch Werewolf by Night.
No, I can't believe that they would make a TV series out of that.
It's great because so far it's not super tied into the greater MCU. It's just like here's a fun thing.
Well, Werewolf by Night's kind of
yeah,
reaching into the bottom of the barrel there.
Oh yeah, when you bring in the man thing, like you're not bringing the A-list.
Wild.
Yeah.
So
regardless, Inside Out was great.
Cool. Well, you wanted to go see Kevin Costner's new movie.
We did.
but
So-
now we can't.
Yeah.
What's
so
the deal?
You brought this to my attention. It's Horizon: An American Saga. It's Kevin Costner's new 3-hour. Horizon: American Saga Part 1.
Yes.
I want to be full on. Like when we're talking about a Part 1, if you tell me there's going to be a Part 2, if you're Rebel Mooning me, I'm going to get excited about Part 1, knowing there's a cliffhanger at the end. But it came out last week. I didn't go see it. I went and saw Inside Out 2. The kid did not want to sit through 3 hours of Kevin Costner westerns.
Sure.
I get it.
Western's hard sell to kids.
Yeah, her brain's not fully formed yet. She doesn't get how awesome it is. And I can't say that it is. I don't know. So it's only in theaters. You were looking for it next week.
Yeah, because I was like, we're going to go see it.
I'm planning on seeing it on the 4th because work's closed on the 4th. Happy birthday, America. I guess this will be yesterday by the time this goes out. We're recording this on Monday the 1st. So it's out of theaters by Sunday.
Yeah.
It's not even in theaters anymore.
Yeah. And that's really upsetting.
So this cost...
The one movie that I want to see in theaters is gone already.
So what I don't understand is you give Kevin... I get that Kevin Costner's back in the cultural zeitgeist because of Yellowstone. And everyone's like, how great is Kevin Costner again?
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
didn't even know that.
People love Yellowstone.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's one of those
heard
shows.
that.
It's one of those shows where I watched a little bit of the first season. I was like, I get it. It's not for me, but I get it. Like a lot of things we talk about on this show.
My family likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you're like, NCIS has been on for 20 years. And it's like, yeah, it's the #1 show on television, but I can't name a single actor on NCIS. But good for them. Regardless. So this, for both parts of this movie, it says it cost $100 million to make Part 1 and Part 2. Split it down the middle. Let's call it 50. First week at that it's out, it's number 4 in the box office, behind Inside Out 2, still number 1, A Quiet Place Day 1, Bad Boys Ride or Die, which is not opening weekend for any of those movies.
Right. I do want to see Bad Boys Ride or Die.
And it opened with $3 million.
Yeah.
And it's like, so are we already just writing this off as a loss? You don't want to keep it out for 4th of July weekend? Maybe it'll get some good word of mouth, unless it's just not good. I haven't checked.
I don't know. I hear that it's good, but I haven't really heard anything as far as a review or critique
Yeah. Let's just look at Rotten Tomatoes real quick.
other than
which is-
first impressions.
It's not a good aggregate of anything.
Yeah, I don't really trust them.
Tomato meter 43 for critics and 71 for audience, which isn't great, but it's...
It's confusing. What a confusing score.
Yeah. That doesn't tell us anything.
It sounds to me like I will like it, but it's a gamble.
I'm going to go see it. I'm going to go see Kevin Costner, but I'm
I want to see Kevin Costner movie. I want to see a Western.
yeah,
I'm
love a
down
good
for
Western.
that. Yeah. And to see one in theaters would be awesome.
What was the last good Western we got?
I have Salvation, baby.
I've
I
never seen that.
think that was like in 2009. No, that was probably like
Terminator
2010.
Salvation?
No, it's just called Salvation. It's
Never
got
saw it.
Mads Mikkelsen in it.
Oh, shit.
Ooh, doggy, it's a really good one.
There are parts of Westworld that were a good Western.
That's true.
There were robots involved, but like the Westerny parts were really good Westerny
The
parts.
Yul Brynner Westworld's really good too.
Yeah, the Michael Crichton one. That's fun.
All the way back when.
85, I want to say.
I want to
That's
say
probably
even
wrong.
before.
No.
Yeah, I want to say that's an old movie. 85, that sounds way too recent.
73. Holy
Yeah.
shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's an old movie.
I was way wrong.
Yul Brynner. It's an awesome cover, but it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's one of those movies as a kid when you would go to Blockbuster, I would always see that cover and be like, that looks awesome. But
Yep.
I never saw it. And then it was that movie always stuck out to me, and Critters. 2 movies that had great
Yep.
box art and I had no idea what they were about.
Both great movies.
Yeah, all checks out. So yeah, I want to go see this Kevin Costner thing. I guess we'll talk about it next week.
We'll find it,
Yeah.
I guess, somehow,
Oh.
somewhere. Crying out loud.
Went and ate at a Mission Barbecue while we were there. That's why I got this big new cup.
Oh, I like Mission Barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great restaurant. So I went there with a kid. We went to see an early movie, which I love doing. It was a 9:50 showtime.
9:50 a.m.
a.m. in the morning.
Holy.
So it's like an hour and a half movie it was like 11:45 we got out of the theater. Go down to Mission Barbecue, get the stuff. And Mission Barbecue, it's military owned. And it's a great company because they like hire a bunch of veterans and stuff like that, and they give veteran charities and stuff like that. Got pastrami. Pastrami was fantastic. It was a nice little special. What I didn't know is that every day at noon they stop and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Which, great. I think that's great. You're honoring the country. Sure. But right before noon, since I didn't know this, the kid and I were there, and I don't like hot foods. Like I've lost it. I used to kind of like hot foods.
Spicy, you mean?
Spicy.
Oh, okay.
Like I used to kind of have a taste for it, never
Yeah, me
really.
too.
But in my advanced age that I'm at now, I've completely lost spice. Like sometimes I'll be like, this salsa is too spicy, and it's like Tostitos medium. It's just bad. So they have a Nashville hot sauce, and I was like, oh, let's try this. And the kid was like, what's Nashville hot? I was like, oh, it's it's more of like a cayenne, yada yada yada. And I'm like, you'll like it. And I'm like, you want to try some of this? And then dip a French fry in it. So I dip a French fry, put it in, and as I'm chewing the hot sauce French fry, they're like, as we do every day at noon, please stand for the national anthem. And it's a slow version of the national anthem that all these veterans are staring at me. Or not staring at me, they're looking at the flag, but I can't like reach over and take a drink during the national anthem. It was the most awkward thing in the world that I was just how are you with spice? Like I was watching I watched people on Hot Ones, and I'm like, how in the world can you even do this?
Well, I'm fine with it. I don't like it anymore. Yeah,
Just
I used to
upsets
collect
you?
hot sauce. I used to do the hot sauce challenges and stuff.
I did one of those Pocky, like the one chip challenge things.
Yeah.
It was immediate out for me.
There was a time, I can't even pinpoint it, where I was like, I'm done challenging myself.
Yeah.
I like spice when it's
It's a poison.
used well.
It's a poison. The plants developed that to stop people from eating them.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's like a side effect because it's like get it out the body real quick.
Yeah, we've bred them to be hotter, but that's what
No,
originally
I mean
what
like
it's
the seeds. They want that shit diarrhea so that it goes, wow, let's get that bad boy to the ground.
No, so birds eat them because birds can't taste capsaicin.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
what they want.
Birds
They
can't
want-
taste capsaicin.
They want the seeds to fall so the seeds could mature fully. And so when they fall on the ground and rot, then the birds can peck them up.
You know, there was a girl that...
Bullshit.
Let me finish. She couldn't feel. She didn't have nerves. So she couldn't
Is this
feel
girl
pain.
you knew or like a Nat Geo?
No,
thing?
this is like on the news.
Oh.
Because they were like, we're going to give you the world's hottest pepper.
Yeah.
We want to see what it's like. So she ate the world's hottest pepper when she can't feel pain. And she's like, it doesn't hurt, but I can feel the burn. Like, it's warm. It's warm.
It's just missing a wire in her brain or something.
Yeah, it's just like she can't have nerves. She doesn't got nerves or something. I don't know.
So she's a
But
superhero.
I like the idea that it actually like gives a heat sensation to it as well. And it's also literally pain that it activates. But unless it's used well, I don't typically mess with spice.
I'm at the point now, sriracha's like my limit. Like I'll put sriracha on a pizza and I'll be like, that's good.
When I see the 3 chili peppers, I'm like, that's too much.
No much.
When it's 2 chili peppers and somebody's like, you got to try it, I'll be like, okay.
In my youth and bar going days, like go to Buffalo Wild Wings and get the mango habanero.
Yeah, those are still delicious to me.
I mean, it's too hot for me now. I'm done with it. We got off track.
Yeah.
That was on me. All right, so let's talk about Shoresy. Or no. Yeah,
All
let's
right.
talk about Shoresy.
All right. We both watched Shoresy season 3.
You finished it.
Yes.
So it's a 6-episode
I did.
season. We'll go no spoilers, and then I do want to talk to you about spoilery stuff. So if you
Okay.
haven't seen Shoresy, we've been talking about the show long enough. If you listen to this show and you haven't watched Shoresy, it's on you.
Yeah.
If
we
not,
love
maybe
it.
this will make you want to go see Shoresy.
We're big fans of the show.
I think this show keeps getting better.
Yeah.
I think it's better and better. I think part of that is because of the short seasons.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more like when the BBC did Cumberbatch Sherlock, it would be like a 2-hour movie event every year, or like the Doctor Who specials, like not where it has to have too much content. They could think, this is a story we want to tell. What's the best way to do it?
Okay.
And I think Jared Kiso's kind of doing that with Shoresy. He knows where he wants the story to go, and he can release it episodically as a season, as opposed to this season's got 12 episodes, which I mean, I don't know of any shows now that are putting out like 22 episode seasons.
Yeah.
It's kind of a thing of the past. Most shows go for like 10.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't watch television.
Well, even if you're scrolling through,
I watch
and stuff,
Shoresy.
like big name shows that are coming out now, like your Game of Thrones and
Acolyte.
Acolyte, and even the Marvel stuff. It's usually 8 or 10, and sometimes it's 10, and you're like, this could have been 6, probably.
It's like half and half because I appreciate this show more than Letterkenny now, and I think it's because it's procedural.
Yeah.
Like actions just keep moving forward.
And Letterkenny had through lines, but it was mostly...
It was, you can watch any episode out of order and have a fun time with a fun episode.
Kind of like a traditional sitcom like The Office.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is the episode where they go to the beach.
But this is a show where it follows a character, and all these characters grow and develop the entire time. And it's wild how well he's done with every season, making me care about all of these people.
And he's gotten better, like not just as a writer and stuff. He's gotten better as an actor too.
I think Sanger being actually angry, it works for him and the situation, and it was wild to see, and it was like, so showing me development that I was like actually being like, these characters are really growing together.
So Shoresy background for people that haven't done it. It's Jared Kiso, Canadian actor, did Letterkenny. It's based on a side character from Letterkenny, Shoresy, who you never see. He's just there. I mean, you never see his face. You could tell it's Jared Kiso.
Yeah, his voice.
He's just there making fun of two of the hockey players, Riley and Jonesy, and basically telling them all the different ways that he had sex with their mothers.
Yeah.
It's a running gag. He pops up, says some of the most hilarious lines in the show, and the parrot back to it is always just, fuck you, Shoresy, and then he says, fuck you, Riley, and then he goes off on a tangent. It's great writing. It's great comedy. And then they announced that they're doing a Shoresy TV show, and I'm like, is it just going to be that? And it's not. So Shoresy is playing for the Sudbury Blueberry Bulldogs, Northern Ontario senior hockey organization, awesomely known as the No Show. And in season 1, he makes a promise that the team's never going to lose again. And they end up having a great season.
Yeah.
And then the next season, he says, where they win out that season.
Well, the first season's probably still my favorite one because it's still... Because... Yeah, it comes with a premise, right at the beginning with we'll never lose again. We have, 4 or 5 games left, and to stay in the running for the playoffs, they have to win every game.
Right.
And they play with that idea to the point where they don't win every game.
Right.
And Shoresy has to deal with his... compassion for hockey winning, and realize that growing is, learning to fail sometimes.
Right. And you get the core group of players, like the team is owned by Nat and her 2 sisters.
They're her sisters?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And
Z1.
So more hockey players join it. Joe Dolo, who's a rapper, he's great.
Yep.
And the rest of them, Ted Hitchcock and Goody and JJ Frankie JJ, just great characters, and the Gyms. So this season picks up with, in the second season, they have a perfect season.
Yeah.
Never lost a game. Best season in the history of the show, never be beaten, it could only be tied. But then we don't see them, in between season 2 and 3, we don't see them lose the championship.
Yeah.
So they have the best season. It's something the New England Patriots did this. Win every game, but lose the championship. And so this season kicks up with, after their loss, when there's a nationwide tournament that's coming in where teams from all over Canada are coming into play. So that's where we're at. Shoresy's pissed off because they lost the championship, but they have a chance to be the best team in the country. They didn't win their league, but they could be the best team in the country. He's butthurt about it because the only reason they're in the tournament is because they're hosting.
Yeah. They got from the second season. They won the bid to host.
Well, it's one of those things like the World Cup. If you're hosting the thing, then you get to be there,
right?
And he's pissed about that. And so it's a 6-team tournament. Every team kind of has their own gig. Like one team's really stupid, one team plays really dirty.
Nicest team,
the nicest
ever.
Team with like the nicest guy that brings them lobsters and stuff like that. And the story is just. I can't speak highly enough about this show.
Yeah, I would say the development of the characters is very wonderful.
Right.
It's so great to see that I understand Shoresy as he is. He's a big asshole, and he likes to, and he is pushy, and he makes fun of people, but he does care about people in his way.
Right. And what you bring up earlier, Sanger, that's Sanguinet, who at the beginning of the first season, he was a player, and then he sucks, so he gets cut, and then they make him the coach.
Yeah.
And he ends up stepping up. He has a little bolo tie. He is a great coach.
Leisure Suit Singer.
And
he looks great.
You have that, and then eventually in this season, this is when we'll get into a little bit of spoiler territory. And at the end of episode 4, Shoresy's taunting a player hilariously throughout the whole match, and it cuts to black because he takes a hit and he hits the ice hard, and that was audible gasp from me. I was like, "Holy!" Because you feel it. The hockey scenes in this, I think we've said it every season of the show we've talked about. The hockey in this is shot beautifully.
The through line of this season is that everybody is injured and tired.
They got hurt in the tournament.
Yes.
And Shoresy has a motto through every season. This one is, go till you can't go no more.
Yeah.
And the players are hurting themselves. Like the through line in the last season was 2 of the players were having too much sex.
Yeah.
Like, it's hilarious how they have these like weird moral stories that get brought up at the end. But he gets hurt, and then it cuts to him, in the locker room.
Yeah.
And he asked, "Did we win?" And they're like, "There's still another period left."
Yeah.
And then the next episode of the season cuts with the immediate aftermath of that, where everyone is running through the hallway to get to him, because that's where it really draws. He's not just a team leader; he's the heart and soul of this team. He's the one pushing everybody, and he's being a leader, killing it.
Yeah,
like literally, putting everything he has to just push this team forward. And throughout the season, people are saying, why do you keep doing this? What are you going to do after hockey? And he says, I don't want to do anything. I just want to do this.
Yeah.
So I thought that was amazing character development. I thought that they said, eventually this comes to the thing. It's like, this is going to be his last game. Like, he can't.
That's the moment that I really liked, was Nat, the owner, is telling him that he needs to sit out a game because he's had 2 comas in a month, and we can't do it
concussions,
again.
Not 2 comas.
2 concussions in a month. And he's angry all the time, but this is the only time where he is like shaking and just says, I'm so fucking mad at you right now.
That's what I brought that up to you. Yeah. It's my favorite part of the show.
It's great because he can tell that he wants to explode on her, but he loves her.
But he also
respects her.
He knows she's right, too.
Yes. So he's just like, the only thing I could say is I'm very mad right now.
It's the kind of writing that's just...
Yeah. And you feel it because he's also a very passionate guy. He cries a lot.
Yeah.
When the Canadian national anthem's playing, he cries.
Every single time.
And it's wonderful to see somebody who feels like he's just there to poke and make people upset, try and control himself so well that he can still get his point across even when his emotions are becoming so unbearable to himself.
Right. I think in one of the cool ways, in retrospect, it makes you look back on Letterkenny, is it doesn't feel like they changed his character, because he still is that guy that's constantly chirping everybody.
Yeah.
There are 2, Liam and who's the other high schooler kid's name? It doesn't matter. Yeah. But two younger hockey players, and he referees their league. And he's constantly making fun of them.
Yes.
The same way, talking about their moms.
Yeah. And they are,
chirping them right back. Yeah. Like, they're getting them.
But then they still have great conversations.
Right. And the one game that he has
friends.
The one game he has to sit out, he's sitting up in the stands with those 2 kids.
Yes.
So it fits the character from Letterkenny. It's like, oh, we just didn't see the size of this person. It's like, he's got this whole other thing going on. But it still fits in his character.
Yeah.
100% completely. It's not like they completely switched up who he is.
One thing that I would say that I think I caught about his character that I enjoyed was he makes fun of Ziguan being ugly for 3 seasons.
Right.
He talks about how much of a dog she is.
Right. Calls her a dog to her face, and at one point
and then
he says, like, Nat, you can't let her in here. She's going to chew up the corner of a chair. It's hilarious.
It's this season where Zig's saying, like, I'm not that pretty. I can't go out with this guy. He's too handsome.
Super nice, handsome guy.
And you can tell that Shoresy catches wind of it, and because there's a time where she gets a ticket, and he's like, why didn't you get off with a warning? You're too pretty. Right. Pretty girls don't
She didn't
get
talk
tickets.
her way out of a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
She's like, you're pretty.
And she's like, and like, you could tell that it was his way of saying, oh, I see that you're taking it
personally.
Personally. And I don't want you to think that you are ugly when you're not. I'm just
joke.
I'm just chirping at you. I'm just trying to get you upset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the way you talk to your friends. It's completely different. Like,
it's the way he talks to people. Is he?
Yeah, I was saying that more collectively, like not the way everyone talks to their friends, but that's a great way of building. And awesome that you picked up on that. That's a great way of showing like character depth and things like that. It's just like
it's not in
once
him.
you find out your friend's not in on the joke. You're like, oh, okay, I understand.
It's not in on
what
him.
you're doing.
It's not in him to go up and be like, "I'm sorry, I didn't want you. I didn't really want to hurt your feelings." But it is in him to be like, "Here's an opportunity that I can use to tell her that she's pretty."
Right.
And that's really, really cool.
And still covering your own ass too.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to have to. Like
he doesn't have to back off on anything that he said because that's not who he is. He's very. Selfish, and he thinks highly of himself.
I've been in that situation with friends a bunch of times where you're like just shooting the shit and joking, and then as soon as you find out one of your friends or someone you're in a relationship with or whatever, you're like, oh, they took this the wrong way. I need to repair this somehow.
Yeah,
and instead of just moving forward, he fixes it.
He just found a way to fix it, and it was really, really cool.
Yeah, and he's still obsessed with Laura Moore, which I love.
So, man. That's a great one where she gets to interview all the big players from the other teams and it's like, do all of them start off by saying, "Oh boy"?
We could talk about this all day, but I can't recommend that show enough.
It's one of my favorite.
You don't have to watch Letterkenny.
No, you don't.
But start Shoresy from season 1 so you can get introduced to the gyms. And
wonderful jokes, wonderful. Just the way that his thing is, he'll ask a question and he immediately says, "Huh," while you're answering it. Yeah. And you can tell that the people that care about him all have their own ways of dealing with that.
Yeah.
Where some of them just mock the "huh" at the same time when they do it.
That's what Laura Moore does.
Yeah.
She's got his number.
Or Sanger just talks through it. Well, Sanger just waits and then he just keeps talking. Or Nat just gets annoyed with it.
Yeah.
But it's just...
The one thing,
good.
Going back to the difference. Last thing I'll say about it. Going back to the difference between this and Letterkenny, and it shows just subtle ways of writing character, showing if Shoresy cares about someone or not. In Letterkenny, it's always "fuck you, Shoresy," and he comes back with "fuck you, Riley."
Yeah.
In this, like if Nat says "fuck you, Shoresy," he goes, "For what?"
Yeah, for what?
And it's it's played for a joke, but he's not hitting back immediately with a "no, fuck me, fuck you." He's like, "For what?" Like, let's talk about this.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
What did I do? Yeah. But he gets hit with that in every single episode.
I love Michaels in this season. Just great season.
The 2 seminars and the webinar.
Yep.
Videos. Yeah.
And just how close they've gotten.
Oh, and I love the little kid, Jory Jordanson.
Still very funny.
That does the kid report. He did an AMA on Reddit. That was actually pretty funny. His line delivery is great. And how he's obsessed with that other team's owner.
Yeah.
He's very funny. It's just a great show.
Absolutely.
Can't recommend it enough. All right, let's get into... Ah, shit, that was a long one again. We didn't even talk about PlayStation. Nah, fuck it. We'll talk about it next time.
We're not dumb.
Let's get into our recommendations. I want to talk about your recommendation first.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about my recommendation.
Go right ahead.
So as you can see here, I was doing some reading. I had to break out my old copy of Brian Michael Bendis' Guardians of the Galaxy.
Bendis is a really great writer.
He's stupid good. He's one of those top tier guys.
Yeah.
He's like... Yeah, enough. But so you recommended that I play Guardians of the Galaxy. What made you bring this up out of nowhere? Because this game came out in 2021.
I was watching TV when my phone went off, and it was Amazon being like, "Hey, we found a deal for you. It's Guardians of the Galaxy on PlayStation 5." And I was like, that is a really good game. And I was like, I want to talk to Taylor about it. And I know that I already talked to you about it once on this podcast.
You asked me if I had played it.
Yeah. And I was just saying, it's really good.
Yeah.
I think it's a great game. And I was thinking about it more, and I was like, there's so much in this game that I think is just done so well that it's kind of a shame that there won't be a sequel. There's so much about this game that I think so many people should play so that they can get, like, this is how you make a great video game, period.
Yeah.
Like, not even just based off of a Marvel property.
Right.
But just how to develop around characters that are established already.
So this is why I didn't play this game.
Yeah.
This game came out after the same company made Marvel's The Avengers.
Yeah.
Which, when that came out...
The same company made it? The same developers?
I think so.
Okay.
Regardless, it came out around that time when Marvel's licensing that stuff out. So, I think it was it? Possibly. Regardless, that's when Marvel was putting out their games. It's in the same branding as that. And I knew it wasn't the people that did Spider-Man, but it was tied with the people that did Marvel's Avengers. And I was turned off by that game, Marvel's The Avengers, because it was getting panned online. Everyone was like, it's a squad shooter. It's microtransactions. You're not really doing anything. It's just repetitive. You know, go into a base, do this, whatever. It's all feels like filler. And then this game came out, and there were people like, this game's actually pretty good. And I'm like...
That's what I was hearing, too.
Yeah, and I just never played it.
I don't have much affinity towards the Guardians of the Galaxy other than loving the movies, which...
The movies are great.
I just base off of liking James Gunn a whole bunch.
Fair.
So I was like, I don't know if I really trust anybody else writing for these characters since I haven't really experienced anybody else's writing. I didn't know Bendis wrote Guardians of the Galaxy. That's very interesting.
You haven't read that?
No.
Oh, it's good.
I have no doubt.
I'll let you borrow it.
But...
it's got Iron Man.
So I didn't, play it either. But then it was free on PlayStation or extremely cheap. I can't remember.
I think it still is. I think it is still free on PlayStation.
And then, so I picked it up and I played it for an hour and I was like, I could see this game's kind of fun. And then I played it for a couple more hours. I was like, this game is pretty good. And then I played it throughout. And then I was like, this game is very, very remarkable.
Yeah. So I'll ratings... We'll go with that first. It's a 3.
Hell yeah.
I enjoyed this game a lot more than I thought I would.
Right?
Just because I did go in with preconceived notions, but after, this will be episode 80, I want to say. 80 weeks of doing this show. I give it a benefit of the doubt if you recommend it, and I think you're not doing it to be mean, like making me watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But, so I think a big hang-up on this game is what you said. Most people... It's not like Spider-Man where there have been iterations of Spider-Man. Yes. Or the closest game I would compare this to is the Batman Arkham games, which are all fantastic in their own way. None of them are perfect, but they're all fantastic in their own way. And but Batman had so many iterations already that people are used to seeing a different Batman.
Yes.
I think on this big of a scale, when 98% of the public... When they think of Star-Lord, they think of Chris Pratt.
Exactly.
A Chris Pratt type.
Yes.
This Star-Lord is a lot more in line with the Bendis Star-Lord.
Okay.
For a couple reasons. The voice sounded a little James Franco-y, which I would say the Quill voice in this is the most different than the movie versions.
Yeah.
Because like Drax kind of the same. Groot, obviously, it all sounds
Drax
the same.
sounds 1-to-1.
Rocket is pretty close. Gamora's pretty close too.
Yeah.
And their characterizations are also probably the closest to the movie. And I think that works because in this game, you don't play as far as I've gotten, I can't speak to the whole game. You don't play as anyone but Peter Quill.
Yeah.
So changing that character the way they did was a great move because once you settle into it, this is a great version of Star-Lord.
I was afraid because I didn't want to watch somebody try and do a Chris Pratt impersonation throughout an entire game.
Chris Pratt's busy enough doing impressions of everything.
That would have been a very taxing experience because that's a very it's a short it's a
narrow
hard
window.
Target to miss. Hard target to hit because you want somebody that is annoying but charming
but can also be Mario and Garfield.
So what I got from it was he is annoying, but he's so endearing in this game.
Yes.
That it's incredible how much I grew to love him.
So this game did win in 2021, I've found it won Best Narrative at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. Tell me, just no spoilers, but how far into the story am I? I just left Nowhere after meeting Cosmo.
You got...
Halfway?
Yeah, probably a little more than halfway, but
so I'm like halfway. I'm at 40%.
Yeah, this is first time in Nowhere, right?
Yeah, first time in Nowhere with Cosmo. Couple of let's finish talking about characterizations, and I'll talk about gameplay. Like I said, all that stuff's great. Love seeing Lady Hellbender in there. Mantis pops up. I don't know if she'll pop up more. Loved Cosmo. I did love the way they did Cosmo in the Marvel movies. This Cosmo I liked a lot more because he was. Just the one conversation you have with him, he has his puppies, and he's the security chief of Nowhere.
Yeah.
And he's, as fun as Cosmo was in the movies, I forget the actress who did the voice of Cosmo. I think she was in the Borat movie, the second Borat movie.
Okay.
But she was great, but she was more played up for laughs and like, oh, hey, it's a dog. Cosmo in this is a lot closer to Cosmo in the more recent comics, where he's deathly serious, old school, Cold War Russian guy who's just in this dog body. And he's a crazy telepath that, like, in part of the game that I went through, imprisons them in a mind palace to, like, torture them and figure things out. And that's old school Cosmo. And I was like, that characterization of Cosmo is great. But at one point he says ball, and a machine shoots a ball, and he goes and chases it because he's still a dog.
Right.
Nails it. Rocket and Groot, great. Love that dynamic. I like how Rocket is a lot more of an asshole in this, like, because he's played in the movies, and Bradley Cooper does a great job in the movies, especially in the third one, as a little more broken than he is in the game and in the comics as well. Like, he does have a tragic backstory and everything, but he is a lot more confident in himself in this, at least as far as I've gotten. Drax is Drax. I like how they brought up that Drax killed Thanos. I was like, good. Thanks for giving that back to Drax. Because Drax is kind of a comic relief in the movies.
Yeah.
And Bautista's great in it. It's James Gunn writing the characters, and he does a great job. But giving Drax back, that people, when they see him, they're like when Lady Hellbender first sees him, she's like, it's the Destroyer. Like, you killed Thanos.
And they straight up talk about Thanos being like, he did it to impress death.
And he's more, Thanos isn't like this big bad. Yeah. He's talking to Gamora. He's like, yeah, I killed your dad.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do about it? And I'm still mad at you.
Yeah.
For all that stuff. And Star-Lord, I love how they gave him back his comic origin, where his dad was the king of Spartax.
Yeah.
Guardians 2 is my favorite one of those movies. And I loved, what's his name as?
Kurt Russell?
Kurt Russell as Ego. And I liked the way they played that and gave Star-Lord his little powers where he's part Celestial. It worked really well for the movies. James Gunn making that change made more sense. Because at that point, you're already bringing in the Nova Corps in episode or movie 1. You don't want to bring in Spartax, and they already had the Chitauri and the Avengers. The way James Gunn wrote around that and still brought in a living planet, genius. Yeah. But this getting back to the comics, where it's like his mom's just like, your dad was the king of Spartax.
Yeah.
Great. Love it. It doesn't have the Ravager background. Like, he gets captured by the Chitauri, and I don't know where the story's going after that, but having that, and it's not like he was a kid that was just picked up by Ravagers and then he just lived as a Ravager the whole time. Like, he had more of a backstory. They talk about him fighting in the war on the side of the Nova Corps and everything. Love it. Like, I love this version of the Guardians so far as much as the one in the movies. They're very different, and they're both, it's like Letterkenny and Shoresy. I love them both, but they're very different things, and I love them for different reasons.
I'm really happy with what they did.
Yeah.
It's to make a game out of those characters, you're going to have to make them more fleshed out. So going the way that they did, especially with you playing as Peter the whole time, so that means you make choices as Peter.
So, like, two of the Guardians will be in an argument, and they'll just be like, do you want to... Bubble pops up, and it's like, do you want to defend Rocket, or do you want to defend Drax? Do you want to let Drax throw Rocket over this cliff, or do you not want to let Drax throw this Rocket over this cliff?
Right.
And it makes me want to replay the game and do the opposite choices next time to see what the difference is. Because at some point, it'll be like a little thing pops up at the top. It's like, Rocket appreciates you standing up for him. And I'm like, good. I'm glad Rocket does. I'm a good Star-Lord.
I threw him.
So Baldur's Gate, you kicked the squirrel off a cliff.
Yeah. No,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I hung out with the squirrel.
You hung out? I thought you said you kicked the squirrel.
No, I said you can kick the squirrel.
Oh,
I didn't kick the squirrel.
But you throw Rocket?
Yeah, I threw Rocket.
That's rude.
It solved the problem.
It did solve the problem.
I saw the problem, and I fixed it.
Threw a raccoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about gameplay now.
Okay.
Because I really, really, really appreciate this gameplay a lot.
Specifically, I guess what would be a squad-based shooter?
Yes, it's squad-based. And what I like is the theme is you learning leadership.
Yes.
And so through the game and its mechanics, it's telling you the story of Peter getting this team together to work as a one unit.
Because they are kind of fresh as a team still.
Yes.
Like, Peter's coming off the war, and they're still not really super well known.
You can tell them to do stuff, and they'll flat out refuse to do it. Right. You know? And that's good.
Yeah.
You know, instead of just like in other squad-based games, which I enjoy, they'll just do what you say. You know, you just run to the fire pit, and they'll just go in there, and they'll die. But this game, they won't do stuff. The Rocket won't want to be thrown across.
Right.
So you're like, we need you to do this. So the other thing that I like is just the more you play, there's just small things where Gamora uses her sword to slash through vines and stuff.
Yeah.
You tell her to slash through it. Eventually, she'll see vines, and she'll just slash them by herself.
Really?
And she'll just be like, yeah, you know,
I haven't gotten to
I
that
got
yet.
to do that. It's fun how everything grows when people start understanding their roles in the team, and it's so it tells the story through the gameplay, and you just feel closer to these people because they're helping you without you asking them after a while, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
The thing, your superpower, your ult maneuver is to huddle up.
Right.
And I love it because it's music that's fun. They have a good 80s soundtrack through it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not as great, but, you know, you just don't have that.
Well, the problem is
that
James,
a Hollywood movie does.
And also James Gunn picked all the best songs. So you want to pick a similar vibe, but you don't want to pick the same songs.
Yeah.
It'd be great if they could play The Chain by Fleetwood Mac again,
Yes.
but James Gunn already did that. Come Get Your Love would be really fun, but James Gunn already did that.
But it buffs everybody. You know, you sit in a huddle, and the huddle's really fun because you choose what to say.
Right.
You know, and it doesn't really have an effect, but it has an effect on the team in a way that they're either like, yeah, Peter, you're right, or like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Peter. Let's just get back in there.
The two games that I think it's closest to, and I love both of these series, is what you were talking about with solving puzzles and stuff like that, and like trying to get from point A to point B. It's very Uncharted, where they're carrying on conversations the whole time, and the dialogue's great. It doesn't get repetitive because if you die and have to redo a thing, it's slightly different enough. And then when I first got into the first big fight against a mob of enemies, I was like, oh shit, it's Mass Effect. It's not cover based. It's just run and gun Mass Effect because you could point at people like you would point at someone in Mass Effect, Garrus, and be like, shoot that guy.
Yeah.
And with this, you could point at call up Drax and be like, punch that guy in the head.
Yeah.
And he does it.
Yeah.
And it's just fun. Yeah, I'm gonna keep playing it. I'll have updates on it. I'm still playing a little bit of Elden Ring.
Yeah, you've been playing a lot of Elden Ring. It seems like you've been getting into it, bud.
I've been getting into it. I got far enough in Elden Ring where I was like, I know how this game works now, and I see the character that I want to play, and I kind of went down that dexterity path.
There you go.
Because I thought that was the good one, but I'm like, I kind of want to go strength.
Yeah.
So I started a new character.
You can respec, but okay. You can do that
I didn't
too.
know you could respec.
Well, it'll be later in the game.
Right.
So,
but I'm not far enough along where I feel confident in the game, so I restarted with a strength build.
Good.
And I was just like a hero or whatever, champion, whatever that class is. And I jumped right into it, and I was like, now that I know what I'm doing, I know I have my goalposts. It's like the second time you play Breath of the Wild. You're like, I get it. I know where to go.
It's absolutely like that. Yeah. And don't be afraid to look up guides, man.
Oh, I have an app on my phone.
Yeah. If you're doing a strength build, look at, hey, I want to use this. Oh, well, it's great because there's plateaus that you hit with stats based on where you put your skills.
Right.
And so there's just a good guide online to let you know is like fill up strength to this point and then start filling this up to this point to get the most out of
I saw those in
what you're leveling.
Last summer when I played Diablo 4 for a month.
Yeah. But if you don't want to do that, it's fine. Yeah. But this, I like to do it just because it doesn't waste my time.
Yeah, I'm having a great time with it. So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy, it's a blast.
Hell yeah.
I think that's pretty much all I want to say.
I'm happy you playing it.
I'm playing that when I get frustrated with Elden Ring now instead of Helldivers.
I think you're going to love it. I think the ending's going to hit you good.
Yeah, the story's great.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so far.
The big thing about the story that I love that feels in line with what I want a Guardians of the Galaxy story to be is things just bubble up to the point of, oh, it's a catastrophe now.
Yeah.
Where it's small things that you're doing throughout the story, and it's just like nice little, it's
like a little through line.
Well, it's problems that affect you. You need money, so you need to do these things to the point where it's like, okay, what you just did is going to really affect the universe in a very bad way. You're going to have to go fix this now.
Right.
And it's like,
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I wish I had played it more, but it's great.
I'm happy you're playing it, man.
So yeah, all right, let's talk about my recommendation for Jake. New documentary on Netflix, How to Rob a Bank. Jake, I love a good documentary.
Uh-huh.
I love a good crime documentary. The problem is I think a lot of them have gotten bloated. Like we did, was American Nightmare. Mm-hmm. That was 3 hours long. Mm-hmm. 3 hour long things. The other one about Mother God turning blue. Yeah. Same thing. So when I
saw this was an hour and a half.
When I saw Netflix had one, I was like, this looks really interesting. And then I saw it's one part, 90 minutes. I was like, fucking jackpot. Yeah. Let's do that.
When I saw it was an hour and a half, I was like, booyah.
This is already great. On Netflix, HBO, all that stuff, guess what? You're paying by the month. Everyone's going to watch all these shows in one day. Documentaries don't need to be 3 hours unless it's something that's really, really important. If you make a 90-minute documentary, push it to 2 hours if it's, important, but it doesn't need that bloat. This is a clean, crisp documentary, and I think it's paced well. It's 90 minutes. You get the whole story.
You can tell that they wanted this to be a movie.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the scenes where they're showing what they're describing is in a storyboard format.
Oh, yeah. So let's tell what the story is first. So it's called How to Rob a Bank. It's based on Scott Scurlock, who was known as the Hollywood Bandit. He robbed 19 banks in Seattle between 92 and 96. I have no memory of this. We were young, but I don't have any memory of this. The other thing I thought Jake would love about it is he based a lot of this on Point Break. And then he went and saw Heat, which Heat came out while this robbery spree was happening.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Jake's gonna love this movie.
Yeah.
He likes rooting for a bad guy. This guy is kind of Scott Scurlock was what do you rate it?
3.
A 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Double 3s this week. Double 2s last week. Double 3s this week.
It was a great movie.
Yeah. So
great documentary, I should say.
Scott Scurlock is kind of he lives in a treehouse, and he decides
that's great.
He's going to start robbing banks.
And
by treehouse, I don't mean like
the life of crystal meth making
production. He's a little bit Walter White because he makes really good crystal meth.
Yes. And that's I like when they're talking to his friends, and their friends are like, there's nothing else like it. And you're like, that guy was on his crystal meth.
It's kind of fun. I mean, drug addiction's a horrible thing, but it's kind of fun when you see people that get clean. Like if you ever heard like Anthony Bourdain talk about heroin, he's like, oh yeah, it's the best.
Yeah,
like it's the best thing in the world. That's why people do it until they die.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
So he gets into robbing banks. Brings in a friend for the first bank robbery. Doesn't go well. And, I mean, they get away, but it's not as much money as he wants. So then he starts focusing on the best ways to do it. Does research.
Yep.
Brings up other people. One lady, Mustang, that's an accomplice that they never name because she was never arrested.
Yep.
And
she was the inside.
Yeah.
She got a job there and got all the information about the vault.
Right.
And
so
everything.
This does have some of Scott's friends on the documentary, and then you get talking heads from the other side, the FBI people and the Seattle Police Department, but you never see Scott. And so I resisted, and the other thing I like about this being 90 minutes is I resisted looking up how this ends. Like I had no idea who this guy was, and like a movie, I didn't know how it turned out.
I was waiting for the reveal,
right?
That we're going to talk to Scott.
I want to know, and at that point when it gets later on in the documentary, where they're like, it's the day before Thanksgiving, and he wants to go in for one last score. He's like, this is gonna be our last one. And I was like, did they get away with it? Like, this guy's been talking the whole time. Did what happened? Like, why has he been there?
Yeah.
And it just goes through it, and I was like, this is a crucial documentary. So
it was a great documentary. It's a fascinating story.
So the other
Scott
thing
is such a interesting man.
He has a little bit of Manson vibes, where it's anti.
Is that what you got?
A little counterculture and little hippie.
I got
long
hippie
hair
from him. Yeah.
Manson's a notable hippie.
Okay. He's less murdery.
I would say almost zero murders.
Yeah.
No murders. He doesn't kill anybody.
He didn't kill.
He killed one person at the end.
A person. Yeah.
One person at the end.
Okay. He did kill one person.
So a couple things I just want to. Everyone should go watch this documentary. It's on Netflix. At any point in this, were you kind of rooting for the cops?
No.
No. Yeah. There's the one cop.
There was one
lady cop.
Yes. The only reason is because I knew that their involvement wouldn't be the way that I would want it to be involved.
Right.
It wasn't going to be somebody being like, I'm putting together a thing and I want to do it. It's going to be somebody who's like, I dropped 20 bombs into the forest and I'm pretty sure I killed them. I was like, I know that's how it's going to be. It's going to be overkill as soon as they're going to be involved.
So there was one FBI agent who kind of like took over the investigation, and he had that thing. You remember the Simpsons episode with the beer baron?
Yeah.
And there's that cop that comes to town, and he's like, I'm going to get you, beer baron. Like, that's his whole life.
No, you won't.
Yeah, that guy kind of turns into that sort of cop character, where he's like, I know Hollywood was out. They call him the Hollywood Bandit. He's like, I knew Hollywood was out there. I was just waiting for him. I knew it was going to be one of these 3 days. And the Talking Heads hindsight is always whatever.
The Talking Heads hindsight is done really well in this because you listen to the friends.
But I feel like
because
the cops
one of the
making their
things,
shit up.
well, the cops were like, You know, the FBI was on the streets handing out flyers, being like, "Have you seen this man?"
dumb.
And the cops were saying, "I was doing it just to let my presence be known."
Right.
Where the friends were
Let
like,
him know I'm out there looking for him. Like he's Dick
Where the
Tracy
friends-
walking the streets.
where Scott's friends are saying like, "Oh, it's obvious they have no clue where to even begin for trying to find out who he is."
So this dude robs the banks, and then he spends all his money gambling, traveling, and his friends even say like, "Oh yeah, if we needed money, we would just ask him for it. And we just didn't ask what he did for work." So he seems like a nice enough guy. And one robbery where
the dude kept a diary.
Yeah, he did.
That's a fine fella.
The diary was a little pretentious at points, but
that's a diary for you.
I guess
it's somebody reflecting on themselves. It's great.
I've never
it's
kept
good.
one. I just have this podcast where I talk to the microphone. But so there's one robbery where he
a little pretentious.
He thinks that
I read his diary. He's kind of into himself.
I didn't mean it like that. He uses O, like just the letter O, like, oh, this world. It's like, all right, pipe down, Shakespeare. We don't need to get like this.
Oh, man. That's so funny.
So my favorite robbery that they do is eventually they're like, the cops are looking for a getaway car. So they get a van and they build a fake bottom into the van. So he just climbs into a van and waits for like 2 hours until the cops give up like it's fucking Grand Theft Auto. And like water level goes down and the cops just leave. And he just gets in his van and drives away with $250,000.
Yeah.
In 1992. Loved rooting for him on that.
The treehouse was when I was like, this guy's great.
Also, he's hanging dong for a good bit of that behind the scenes footage.
I'm out in the woods. Yeah.
But I mean, that footage
He's like,
is in the
I got
documentary.
a huge dong.
Yeah.
I live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to be naked.
I understand.
His toilet is just no walls.
I understand that, but
That's
I'm
wild.
just saying from a documentarian standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, you guys want to crop this? Like, you know, the lower third. It's like, no. We've been talking about the balls on this guy. We're going to see the balls on this guy. Regardless, at one point, they're interviewing. They do take a turn, like 3/4 of the way through, where they're saying like, oh, everyone's saying it was a victimless crime. And they interview like bank tellers and be like, I was scared. And I get that. You had a gun pointed in your eyes.
Yeah.
But there's one woman in particular that said that as she was a bank teller, she's like, I have been robbed 14 times.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. Because they did say this guy kept hitting the same banks over and over again. I didn't think about that. But she said, I was robbed 14 times. And one of them was Hollywood. I was like, what?
Yep. That's when I was like, I do not care.
Get a new profession.
Yeah. Well, it's just like you can't blame it all on him.
Right.
That bank robbery is traumatizing.
I would feel bad about him if this lady had gotten robbed by him 14 times. 1 out of 14.
Yeah.
So the most famous bank robber in Seattle, he's a footnote
to this lady
in your robbery history. Also, I had to look this up.
The FBI agent was trying to go through how this is not a victimless crime.
Yeah.
Because he was like, people are traumatized. I mean, they're crying. And then it was the end of the list.
Right.
That's fine.
People were kind of bummed about it.
I'm so... it sucks
at one point
having a gun pointed at you. I'm not saying that trauma isn't... But you're okay?
Yeah. Well, he did tase one guy. He tased one guy.
That's a stun gun. That's not...
Exactly.
That's a self-defense weapon. You're going to... Unless you have like a heart condition.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that's crossing the line, but I also would say that that's something that he came prepared to understand it. If I'm going to have to hurt somebody, I want to use a stun gun. That way I don't have to, break a bone or injure them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were 2 things that bugged me besides that lady. One, the money was wrong.
What do you mean?
The money was wrong. When they show like the reenactment stuff, it was modern money. It was set in the 90s. That's just something I see and it bugs me. And I noticed this too. It's wrong in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
In the video game.
Yeah.
How long does it take to render a cutscene in a video game? Probably a long time.
I don't know.
Okay. But at one point she hands Peter in the 80s a $10 bill to go see a movie.
Yeah.
And it's a $10 bill that came out in like 2005.
Oh.
It's like that tan yellowy Hamilton bills that we have now.
Okay.
And the ones in this were the new 20s. And I was just like, guys, like,
oh, okay.
little things like that bug me and take me out of it.
No, I can understand.
I feel the same way when I watch cooking things. And you probably think about it when you're watching like computer stuff. We're like, they're not doing that properly. Or like when I'm watching like a cooking scene in a movie, I'm just like, what are they doing? None of this is real, and it takes me out of it for just
Sure.
regardless of that. And then the main cop's wife, he tells an anecdote that it was the day before Thanksgiving. And he's like, and my wife woke up that morning and said, "This is the day.
Yeah,
this is the day that you're going to catch Hollywood." I was like,
yeah,
bullshit.
No, I would say that
she started that
true.
every day as like a pep talk.
That's what it was.
You think that's what it was?
I think every day she woke up and she was like,
gives him a cup of coffee and is like, "Today's the day you're going to get him, honey."
And then she gets herself stuck in the dumbwaiter.
Yeah,
every single day. You're gonna get Hollywood today. I'm stuck.
But yeah,
every single day.
All right, I didn't think about that. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But the fact that's not how he played it up, though. He played it up like she had a premonition.
Yeah.
Like, she's the Oracle at Delphi. It was just like, today's the day that you're going to catch him.
That's why I also like the other side with his friend, his bank robbing, 3, 2, 1. And that's why I like the other side, his friend, the bank robber artist, who would say, I had a dream the other night that, we were swimming in the beach. He's like, I think things are going to be really good. Yeah. And I was like, that feels pretty darn real.
Yeah.
Because he's an artist. And you can tell because they showed his art.
Right.
And like, that dude's good at his craft.
Yeah.
And it also makes sense why he's a bank robber.
100%. And
what a fascinating character that guy is.
So the end of this, and it's a historical thing, so I don't feel bad about it. So the one thing we alluded to, Scott kills one person. He kills himself.
Yes.
So the last bank, the Thanksgiving or day before Thanksgiving,
everything
robbery,
goes terrible.
Not everything. They put little bill trackers in the money. And this is like in 95, so it's like pretty low key. You're basically following a radar thing that like goes hot and cold. It's not satellite data or anything like that. So there's 2 of them in the thing. They find one, throw it out of the back of the van, and then they can't find the other one. The cops are up to him, pull up on him, and they get into a little bit of a shootout. And then they keep following him. Scott decides he's going to drive, and then he just takes off on foot. One of his buddies gets shot. The other one gets arrested. And
both of them get shot.
I thought only one guy got shot.
One gets shot in the gut, one gets shot in the arm.
One was gut shot, one was arm shot. Yeah. Okay. Regardless, Scott goes and he runs through a neighborhood and he ends up in the back of a camper, and we have the 911 call where a guy's like, "Hey, you guys are looking for that dude," because helicopters and sirens and stuff like that. Like, "I think he's in my camper." Like, "What makes you say that, sir?" He's like, "Well, no one's supposed to be in there, and someone's in there."
Yeah.
So do that. And the cops surround him. It was like 80 cops or something like that. They hear one gunshot. Then the police fire 76 rounds into a camper.
Yeah. Yeah.
After hearing one gunshot.
So,
and then they wait for 2 hours before they go in. They find out the gunshot was, he said he died of a single self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Yeah.
Which I get that. I get, go out like that. Sure.
Well,
do whatever.
His friend said that matches what he's been saying.
Right.
Yeah,
he's not going to get arrested.
Yes. He's going to live free or
die.
But
on the police end, he shoots 76 rounds into a place and then wait for 2 hours.
At the police end, you start shooting at him at the first time he pulls over.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
That was an issue.
Right there.
There was that little discrepancy because the cop said, "I saw him point the gun at me," and the other guy was like, "He didn't do that."
You really think the cop's lying? I mean, you think the cop's lying?
Maybe.
You think maybe I think the cop's lying?
I think you might think the cop's lying.
I think he was like, I started shooting.
Yeah. It's like the old South Park thing where Jimbo's like, "Oh, it's coming right for us,"
yes.
and they have to shoot him.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he probably wasn't scared.
Did you see the new laws that went into effect today?
What is it?
Well, July 1st, new laws go into effect in Virginia. There's some good ones. Restaurants can still sell to-go drinks. Good for the bars.
Good.
Yeah,
cool.
Selling things like that. The one that I saw that made me really laugh really hard because someone in Virginia, if most people aren't in Virginia. So Virginia has a legislative session at the beginning of the year. It's not a full-time. It's not like Congress in anywhere else where you're there the whole time.
Yeah.
They have a session where they get things done, and then they're done for the year. And then the laws go in effect July 1st. In effect, this one is the previous law was if you hit a deer or a bear with your car, you can take it.
They changed it?
They changed it. So any deer or bear, or they expanded it to elk and turkey on the side of the road.
So they expanded it. Good. Good.
It's a finders keepers situation now to anything on the side of the road you can take.
I appreciate that, honestly.
Someone in our legislation, and I want to find out who it was, they said, I've heard from my constituents, and they think it's bullshit that they can't take the dead bear on the side of the road. And they're everywhere. So if someone's doing it as a...
and they're everywhere.
Well, imagine this.
Well,
so
we have
new side hustle. So now, because you can clean it up outside of, Department of Transportation or whoever does that cleanup, you make an app that's like roadkill.io.
Yeah.
If I'm driving down the road or I'm on the Waze app and I'm like, deer here, then that company goes and like, hey, VDOT, we'll take this off your hands.
Yep.
We'll pick up all the dead deer. And then they do whatever you do with dead deer. I don't know.
Venison.
But if it's already been dead and like laying there for a while.
Better venison. It's already got a jump start on becoming venison jerky.
And buzzard poop on it.
Well, you brush that off with your hand.
Yeah.
Or brush.
It's just kind of weird. I love that law, though. It's very rare that I see a new law and I'm like, good. And it's even more rare that I'm like, why?
Well, congratulations, Virginia.
Good job, Virginia. So yeah, that's a 3.
That's a good movie.
That's a 3. Everyone
it's
check
a very
that out.
sad ending.
Yeah, it is, but
it doesn't make sense to start.
I mean,
I appreciate that the other FBI agent said, "Just let him go." He was like, "You should have just let him go."
That was the guy that didn't make it there in time. He's like, "Oh, we'll just
like,
catch
if
him."
If I was there,
day.
we would have catched him another.
Because it wasn't the FBI guy that shot him. It was the
other FBI guy.
No, it was the Seattle police guy.
I thought it was 2 FBI guys.
Oh, that's right. And they hated each other. That's right.
Yes, and they hated each other. And it was the other FBI guy.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to chase him down.
No.
There's no reason to
I think that's
start firing. When you shoot a gun, you might kill the person, but you might kill somebody else. You know what I mean?
That was a law that was passed in Virginia last year that there's limits to high-speed chases.
Good.
Especially involving motorcycles. It's like you can't chase someone.
Where are they going to go?
Right. We'll catch him another day. We have his license plate.
Yeah, you can follow at a safe distance. We have helicopters. We have drones.
We do have drones.
There's no reason to get innocent people hurt.
Yeah. You're a bank robber. You've done 18 banks. Mm-hmm. What's your number where you're walking away?
How much money?
What's your haul for bank robbing where you're like, I'm hanging it up. I've gotten away this far. I'm done. Because if he had quit at 18, no one would have known who he was.
Yeah. If I feel like I could start a new life with $1 million. Comfortably.
Really?
Yeah.
You can't
get an investor, start.
Well, this guy was smart because he was laundering money at the casino.
Yeah. I would say start getting that money to make it more money off of itself.
Yeah.
And then just live off the,
I'm at
interest.
I think I did some quick math. I think I'm at 6.2.
Why 6.2?
Because I think that's enough where I could get away with it, but also be able to invest it over enough things that you could pull out the dividends from the investment to live on comfortably and not have to work anymore.
Yeah. That's what I would want.
That's a bit. I don't think you can not work anymore with $1 million.
Yeah.
Because you got to launder it too.
Yeah.
Although with sports betting and stuff, I'm sure it's pretty easy.
I would launder it to $1 million.
Because that's one thing they talked about. They'd go and bet on. Was that this or was that another?
Yeah, it was this.
That was
where
I watched a lot of crime shit.
They would
bet on both teams.
Yeah, bet on both teams at different casinos.
Yeah, the casino would take a 5% vig, so you lose 5%, but your money's completely laundered.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah. Love it. That is a very good tale.
Yeah.
So depressing how it ended.
Yeah.
But
how many banks do you think are robbed in the United States each year? I looked this up.
I'm going to guess conservatively 8,000.
That's your conservative?
Yes.
For how many banks are robbed each year?
Yes.
What's your liberal guess?
16,000.
16,000?
Yes, as a liberal guess.
It's 1,700, and I thought that was a lot.
1,700?
Yeah.
That is a lot.
It's 5 banks a day.
Remember that bank was robbed on 29?
Yeah, I remember.
That was
CFB.
Fun. Yeah.
What do you think the average haul? I did all this research. What do you think the average haul is?
100,000.
4.
4,000?
4.
4,000.
Yeah, 4,000.
Oh,
it's not a lot of money.
That's so sad.
In this economy,
that's not worth it.
You can't get a used car for $4,000.
You can't. I mean, that's maybe buys you a month if you're scrounging.
Well, the good thing about this economy is we saw that presidential debate, and everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah, it's all fine here.
America's backed up being number one, baby.
It's that meme with the dog sitting in the restaurant that's on fire.
Yep. This is fine.
All right. So let's get into thank you everybody for listening. First of all, if you have any recommendations, you can send them to upyouralleypod@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube comments, all that good stuff.
Right.
Let's figure out what we're going to be talking about next week. Jake, what do you got for me?
I want you to listen to music.
More music.
Yes, sir.
What do we got?
We got ourselves an actual band this time.
Whoop, whoop.
And they apparently re-released this album. It's probably my favorite one of theirs. It's a band called Yola Tango.
Yola Tango.
They do have a album that came out last year, but I haven't listened to it yet.
All right, which album?
This Stupid World. I haven't listened to it yet.
No, what
But the album I want you to listen to is called I Can Hear Our Hearts Beating as One.
Okay. I'm familiar with this band. I can't name a single one of their songs. I just familiar of them in their, I know of their existence.
I think I'm going to be back to saying I like real music, and the real music I listen to is really good. I don't just listen to robots.
Are you taking Cheese Industries personally now?
No, I'm not taking it personally, but
you
I'm
listen
like,
to robots?
I have to show that I know real bands and listen to them and enjoy them as well.
I hope Yola Tango turns out to be Terminators.
That's not AI. Well, I guess it is, but that's fine. They're taking over the world.
All right. So I have a recommendation for you that is not out yet, but I'm going on a limb because I want to watch it, and I know we're going to talk about it, whether it's good, whether it's bad. It comes out Wednesday on Netflix.
Yeah.
The Netflix film Beverly Hills Cop.
Axel Foley?
F. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very curious. Eddie Murphy's been doing the rounds.
I like.
By the time this comes out, it could have already been like everyone would be like, "Hey, this movie was great," or everyone could be like, "Hey, this movie sucks," or "Hey, yeah, whatever."
I'll watch it.
Yeah, I want to talk about it, and I don't want to not talk about it as a wreck.
Dolomite Is My Name is a really, really good movie.
Eddie Murphy's got that magic. Did you watch? We could talk about it next week. We talk about Eddie Murphy.
He's got it.
Yeah.
If he wants to do it, he's got it.
He's still Eddie Murphy. First Beverly Hills Cop was 40 years ago,
and I really like that movie.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
All right, so that's what I'm going to watch. Listen to Yola Tango. Jake's going to watch
movie to pull out and be like, we need a sequel.
Yeah.
After all these years. Okay.
We'll talk about it. And Jake's going to watch Beverly Hills Cop. Well, I'm going to watch it too. I haven't seen it yet. Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Thank you to Jimmy for doing all of our artwork. Thank you to our buddies, Brother Bill. You can find them on Bandcamp. They do the songs. Jake, thanks for coming over. I love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.
That's how you podcast, baby.